to Allah.
You make my job easy.
That's right.
He made it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Allow me to open in the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful, the one God to whom all praise is forever due, the Lord of the worlds. We thank him for his coming and for raising in our midst a divine leader, teacher, and guide, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we thank them both for leaving with us in this very dangerous and critical hour.
That's right.
A dangerous and critical
It
hour.
is.
A big brother and a friend,
Mm.
a warner,
That's right.
a teacher,
That's right.
and a brother,
That's right.
the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes.
I greet you all with the greeting words of peace and of paradise. About Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Walaikum
salam,
salam,
sir.
Let's give Brother Ansar another round of applause, please. All praise and due to Allah. We need to hear from that brother more often, don't we?
That's right.
That's right. That brother was on fire this morning. All praise is due to Allah. You know, it's hard. It's kind of hard to come behind a brother like that sometimes. But we're gonna do our best, right, to kind of maybe expand on and maybe talk a little bit about something that some of the things that he had discussed. But we thank Allah for our brother Ansar, his hard work and his sacrifice.
Right.
And we're also proud to say that, you know, in our midst, we have the #1 Final Call newspaper salesman, right, in the country.
Come on.
Right.
And Brother Ansar, all praise is due to Allah,
That's
who
right.
loves,
That's right.
who loves the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who loves the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and who loves the program. And you got to have love in you, right,
Yes, sir.
to do what we have been called to do. You know, brothers and sisters, you have been well fed, and I'm not going to take too long, but I just want to, I had a subject in mind, but, you know, as I thought about it, I just wanted to talk today on the subject of the message to the black man. The message to the black man. Now, when we read the scripture, we always read about what God has done for other people. But you never read in the scripture about what God has done
Come on.
for you.
Come on.
Now, we have a right to ask the question.
Yes, we do.
If God raised a people for the people of Moses, if God raised a messenger for the people of Jesus, if God raised a messenger or a prophet for the people of Arabia, did God raise a messenger for you and me?
Great question.
That's a good question for us to ask,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Because we're calling on God, we're calling for answers, but we really don't know or understand who and what it is that we're really calling on. See, you don't think, and I don't think enough of ourselves to believe that God would send us somebody from himself.
Come on.
Is that right? Our brother talked about this world shutting down, did he not? He talked about DEI going away, did he not? He talked about the natural enemy, did he not? And what the natural enemy is and what the natural enemy looks like, did he not? Absolutely. Well, we teach in the Nation of Islam that God did not forget about the black man and the black woman in America. Now, we're not concerned with other people as such at this particular juncture because of the condition and the shape that you or I are in. We are the deaf. We are the blind. Is that right? And we
right.
are in fact the dumb. Right?
Yes, we are.
Reduced to nothing.
Come on.
Hit in the head, and left for dead.
Come on.
That's us, is that right?
That's right.
So we teach in the Nation of Islam that God sent us a messenger from himself.
Come on.
Is that right? Well, why
Yes,
is it
sir.
necessary for God to send us a message from himself? Because Jesus was sent to the Palestinians or to the people of Palestine. Moses was sent to the children of Israel who were in slavery to the Egyptians, as we were taught, right? And Prophet and the Arabs received a message from Prophet Muhammad, who at that time were considered to be the most ignorant and the most backward people on the planet at that time. They were ignorant, right? They were taking anything for God. Is that right?
That's right.
They were burying their female children. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's how backward and how they call it a period of Jahiliyyah, or a period of great ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Well, now look at your condition. You are people like Moses' people.
Yes, sir.
You are enslaved in this modern Egypt.
Yes, we are.
Is that right?
That's right.
You are the people like the Palestinians, right? You weren't enslaved physically, but you were enslaved, or well, they were enslaved, pardon me, to false ideologies and concepts. Are you not enslaved to false ideologies and concepts?
Yeah.
Didn't Brother Ansar tell us that God wasn't in the sky?
Yeah.
That's an example of you being enslaved to false ideologies and concepts. Didn't Brother Ansar tell you that the devil was not on the ground?
No, sir.
Well, that's an idea. Well, that's one of the ways that you have been enslaved to false ideologies and concepts. And you are like the people, you are like the Arabs, in that today, when they look at this black man in America today, they look at you as the most backward people that live.
Yes, they do.
Today, you are the most ignorant of the people that live today. You are people that hate yourself and love your enemy.
Actual facts.
You are people that don't forgive yourself, but you will forgive your enemy.
Right.
Is that right? You are
That's
people
right.
that hate black.
Come on.
You don't want to be black.
Actual facts.
You want to live and look and be with your enemy. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So now look. So now all of them, all of these communities, those that had Moses, those that had Jesus, those that had Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, all of them, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, have strayed away from the teachings of their prophets.
Yes, sir.
No true Jews.
Come on.
No true Jews. If there is, there are needles in the haystack. Is that right? No true Christians. And as a matter of fact, we know that that wasn't even Jesus' religion.
No, sir.
Jesus did not teach what he taught Christianity.
Speak
That
on
didn't come till years after the man was, as they say, killed and buried on the cross. And they called those people, according to the book of Acts in this book, they called those people who followed Jesus Christ, they called them Christians. Is that right?
That's right.
Now stop me when I'm lying. Is that right?
That's right.
That's right. Well, what about the Muslims? Again, how many of them are following the path of Prophet Muhammad? And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stood up in their own house and told them, you lost your power when you strayed away from the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. So now where does that leave you? Where does that leave you, sisters? Where does that leave you, brothers? Don't we now need a messenger?
Yes.
Don't we now need somebody to teach us? Don't we now need somebody to guide us
Right.
back to that which we were taken away from?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely we do. But since you're deaf, dumb, and blind, and you were made that way by your enemy, as Brother Ansar explained to us, you can't really see the reality of what it is you're really dealing with. So we're making mistakes. We're making fatal mistakes.
Right.
A fatal mistake is the one that'll get you killed. A grave mistake.
Man.
A mistake that'll get you killed. And being up under this man now for the last 63, 64 years now, right? We can see our people dying. Huh?
Right.
In the streets of America. Dying in the streets of California. Dying in the streets of Fresno. Right here where we live, right here, right now. Right? So, what's the answer? The answer is that God saw you and me come into slavery.
Yes,
Now
he
you
did.
don't think
Yes, he
you don't
did.
think God was able to do all this.
Man.
The
Speak
enemy
on
was
that.
able to do all this behind God's back.
Speak on that. Come on.
You don't think God saw? You don't think God saw these people put us in ships? You don't think He saw them lynch us out the tree, burn us
Yes, sir.
at the stake? You don't think God saw
Wow.
that? You
Yes,
don't
sir.
think God saw what they would, how they miseducated us,
Man.
how they mistreated us? You don't think God saw that? All of it. He saw it all. But we were taught that at a particular time, that God would intervene in our affairs. And he absolutely, positively did intervene. We need an intervention.
Yes, we do.
We need a divine
Man.
intervention. Not that intervention that you see on that TV show
Come on.
when the people is on drugs
Come on.
and they drinking alcohol.
Come on.
Right? No, we need a divine intervention.
Divine.
A divine intervention. And so what we bear witness to is that God saw us.
Yes, he did.
That he heard our cry.
Yes,
that
he
he
did.
saw our moaning, right?
Yes.
And our groaning.
Mm.
Right? And he said, I didn't forget about you, black man.
No, sir.
I'm going to send you a messenger.
Yes, sir.
Now, in this great book,
Mm.
I'm going to read some things from you, then I'm going to show you, with God's help, where you are in this book. See? Now, the book is filled with symbols,
Right.
parables,
Mm-hmm.
metaphors, and what we call similes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, if you can't decode the symbol, if you can't decode
Come on.
the parable,
Man.
if you can't decode
Mm-hmm.
the metaphor,
Man.
if you can't decode the simile,
Mm-hmm.
see, even though you read the book
Right.
and you read about yourself,
Come on.
but you really don't know that you read
Come
about
on.
yourself.
You become lost in it.
Come
sir.
on now.
Come on.
Is that what happens?
That was
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that the black man and black woman are in this book from Genesis all the way to Revelation.
Woo.
Genesis all the way to Revelation. So the preacher got the book, but he really don't understand what he
That's
has.
right.
Because he's been mistaught
Yes, he has.
by his open enemy. And as a result of him being mistaught, he unwittingly, or maybe wittingly, I
Yes,
don't
sir.
know,
Actually,
maybe he's with the program.
Waiting.
Maybe he knows that he's lying.
Yes.
Maybe he knows
Mhm.
that he's stealing.
The devil.
Maybe he knows
Yes,
that
sir.
he's a cheater. You
Mhm.
understand? But we want to give him the benefit of the doubt
Mm.
and say that he does not quite understand what he's doing and what he's teaching. You understand? Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in this great book, which was published in 1965, in my humble judgment, is a sacred text. Sacred. Important. One that should be studied.
Yeah.
One that should be, if it's a sacred text, it's one that should be guarded. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is something, I mean, you want to put this, are you saying that you're going to put this text on the same level as you're putting these texts? Maybe even just a little bit higher in some cases. Because it is this text that's given us the true and proper understanding of these texts. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to be guided now in your understanding of these texts. Now, let's go into the message to the black man. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
We ain't going to be long because Brother Ansar already gave us quite a few things to think about. Now, every book that you read begins what they call a preface. Brother Jabril, who, may Allah, thank you, brother, may Allah be pleased with him, taught me, he said, brother, when you open a book, read the preface. Because the preface is going to give you the reason that the book was written to begin with. He said, if you read the preface and then take the time to read the introduction, then that will tell you whether or not you need to even be bothered with the book based on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So a lot of times we read books, but we go right by the preface. We buy a book and we go right by the introduction. But Brother Jabril taught us that this is where we should start. It's in the preface. Now let's read the preface in this particular book. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
It says here in the preface, the reason for writing the book. He says, as we near the exhaustion of the wisdom of this world, which has not been able to shed enough light. Shed enough what?
Light, sir.
Light. On our path in search for that supreme wisdom to keep us from stumbling and falling. We now seek the wisdom of Allah, the best knower. The best what?
No, sir.
The best knower. This book opens up telling us that aligns to what? Best knower.
Yes,
And in this book there is no
No
what?
doubt.
No doubt. Right? How many books can you find on the planet where we can say
none.
that there is? No doubt. You don't even find that in this book. You
No,
don't
sir.
find in this
No,
book where it
sir.
tells you there's no doubt.
No, sir.
But you find it in this book, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, let's go back to keep us from stumbling and what? Falling.
Mm-hmm.
We now seek the wisdom of God, the best knower and guide in the person of Master Father Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. The reader will find that light in this book. Now, the black man is living right now in the hills of North America in utter darkness. You can't see. Regardless of your good intentions, and we all have good intentions, right? I heard somebody say that the road to hell
Come on. It's made with bad intentions.
Paved
Yes.
with good intentions.
Right.
Paved with good intent.
Right.
Right? You mean well,
Mm-hmm.
but you in hell. Is that right? You mean well, but you mean well, but you in hell. Right? Okay, paved with good intentions. So we need a light. This Quran says that it is light that dispels darkness. So the people that walk in light are not like the people who walk in darkness. And you're stumbling and you're falling according to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in this book because you're in the dark. You think you know, but you don't know. You're looking at something, but you really don't know what you're looking at. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad refers to the white man as the open enemy. Because he can oppose you in the open.
Right.
Right in front of your face.
Damn.
Right? You're looking at the deception, but you really don't know what it is that you're looking at.
Right.
Do you understand what
That's
I'm saying? Yes, sir. So now, in the book of Genesis, we just want to go over some things that we have went over before. And we're going to continue to go over them because we need to, as believers, we need to revisit some of these things sometime. And we have our little sister with us this morning, and all praise is due to Allah. Let's give her a hand for being with us this morning. All praise is due to Allah. Who brought you? Who brought Brother Freeland? Yes, right, it's Brother Freeland. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you, Brother Freeland.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All praise is due to Allah. Now, in this book of Genesis, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that in the word Genesis, you have the word gene. Gene. Right? Do you have genes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do, right? And then your genes is your print, is your physical print, right?
DNA.
We can study your DNA, right? Like we can study your fingerprint. And you know, because you're the only one that's got that fingerprint, once you touch it, we got you. You can't you can't substitute my fingerprint.
Come on.
Right? So once I put you steal something, so I didn't steal it, then they get your fingerprint, right? And we got you, right? Like they're busted. Sister said you busted.
Right.
Right? But you also have a spiritual print
Come on. Woo.
that matches your physical print. So what that's telling us is that you come from a God that's infinite in his creation.
Yes,
in other
sir.
words, there will never be another one of you
Wow.
again. And there'll never be another one of me again. I'm one of a kind. Literally, when you hear that statement, when God made that brother,
Made no other.
he made no other, or when God made that brother, that sister, he broke the mold. Right? That's a true statement. There's nothing like you. But Minister Farrakhan said in the Genesis is the gene or the makeup of everything that is in the book. Hear me? Look, in the Al-Fatiha, we say in these 7 verses, you have the whole Quran. Have you heard that?
Yes, sir.
On all 7 verses, right? It's the same thing in this book here in the Genesis. So in the Genesis, in the 50 chapters or whatever it is, is the genesis or the genes for everything that follows in the book. Now the gene also here represents, the Genesis here also represents a new beginning. See, where you think your slavery was a tragedy.
That's what we think.
What we don't know,
Come on.
that every great history begins on the basis of a tragedy.
Come on.
Every great history,
Mm-hmm.
right? Jesus' ministry really don't begin. It begins at the cross. It begins with the tragedy
Man.
of his crucifixion. Am I making sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Right? Your great history begins with the tragedy of slavery.
Think on that.
On the tragedy of slavery, where you think that was a bad thing, God is making it all for good.
Come on.
Now let's go here to the Genesis. Y'all ready? Now we know that Abraham was the friend of God. He's called the friend of God. And God is talking to Abraham here in the book of Genesis. And he said to Abraham, know for certainty that your descendants, that's specific. It ain't talking about just anybody. Your descendants, Abraham, will be strangers in a land that is not theirs. Right? And will serve them and afflict them for 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge afterward, and they shall come out with great possessions.
Yes,
Some
sir.
scriptures say great substance. Right? Substance, okay? Possessions, it's all the same thing. You're going to come out of this situation much better than you were when you went in. Does that make sense to everybody?
Come on.
Okay? Now look, it says they will be strangers.
Man.
And you cannot admit that since we've been here, the white man has treated us as total and complete what? Strangers. Has he not?
Yes, sir.
You're a stranger here. You're not a citizen. You don't have the equal rights of the real citizens. As a matter of fact, if you go to the archaic meaning of what it is to be an American, it talks about it talks about people who are not of the aboriginal races. So if you're an Asian, you're not a real American. Because you are of the aboriginal people. You are of the original people. Am I making sense to you? If you're a Mexican, you're not a real American. Right? If you have to be considered an American, to be of European descent. Now, when Minister Farrakhan showed us that coin, there was a coin that he showed us. And on that coin was a shield. Do y'all remember that? It was a shield. And on the shield was the insignias from the different European nations. England, Denmark, France, I think it was. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you were never included in the American tapestry or the American society. White folks never saw you with the right to vote. They never saw you going to public school with their children. They never saw you, right, in Congress. They never saw you as the president.
There you go.
As the president of the United States. They never saw that, right? And all of them devils, as Brother Ansar said, that wrote these laws, all of them were slave masters. George Washington, a slave master. Thomas Jefferson, a slave master. John Adams, a slave master. Is that right?
Right.
So from the very time that you got here, God was telling Abraham, look, man, your descendants, right, are going to be strangers in a land that is not theirs. Now look, if the book is not referring to us, why read it?
Come on.
Why read it? That's why we read it. Because it is referring to us. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that our people are buried here. Meaning that once you give them an understanding of what's really going on and how it relates to them, they will come up. They will come alive. Does that make sense to
Yes,
everybody?
sir.
Okay, all praise is due to Allah. So now, you're a stranger. But it says, also that nation whom they shall serve, I. Personal pronoun. Ain't a spirit coming, it's a man coming. Right?
Right.
A man coming. We teach in the Nation of Islam that God is a man, and that man is God. And you can't separate the two.
Right. You can't.
Right? If the black man is God, then you are also God,
Right.
because you are the one that gives birth to the gods. So how can you give birth to the God and then you not be a God
That
yourself?
part.
Wasn't that wonderful?
Yes, sir.
I know I felt good when I found that out. I'm a God, little old me, right? Not the God, right? But a God, made in the likeness and in the image of God. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
With the capacity to master everything in the creation. That's your potential. To master the situation, to master the circumstance. So this I here represents God. He's saying, I'm going to judge it. Me, I'm going to do it. And then after I get done with them, I'm going to pull you out and put you in a land of your own. That's what we want.
Right.
In the Nation of Islam, we want a land of our own. Why? Because we can't get here what it is that we want to get. Now, on the back of this Final Call newspaper, we have what we call the Muslim Program. Is that right?
That's right.
The Muslim Program. Why the Muslim Program? Let's look at that for a second. Now, is the word the.
Definite article.
What's that?
Definite article.
The definite article. Which means you, sisters, are going to be the new standard of what a Muslim really is. This is not for the people out of the East. This is not for the Sunnis. This is not for the Shia. No, sir, right?
Yes, sir.
Because they have all strayed away. We said that already. They strayed away from the teachings of the prophet. Once you have that split, once they fell out over the direction that the community should go in, once you have that split, you're away from Prophet Muhammad. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir.
When Jesus went on to the Father and you had a split, there was a brother, not a brother, but a man named, they called him, he was a Protestant. He was a Protestant. He was protesting, right? Protesting the church. So out of that protest came what they called the Protestant, am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
The Protestant denomination. Now in the word denomination, the root word for the word denomination is demon. So in the split you have demons. So now they're away from Jesus. Then you have the same thing with Moses. They're away from Moses. Again, you are following people that have strayed away from the teachings of their prophets. So when God sends you a messenger, and this is the messenger, he gives you a program. We need a program.
Yes, sir.
We need a way. We need a method. We need a path by which to travel so that we could be free from our 400-year-old enemies of freedom, justice, and equality. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Now, you say, well, what is it that we want? Well, the first thing we want is we want freedom.
Yes, sir.
We want a full and complete freedom. We want justice. We want equal justice under the law. We want justice applied to all, regardless of what? Creed, or class, or color. Is that right?
That's right.
We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. We just don't want to live with anybody. We want to live with civilized people. We want to live with people that got sense. Now, Brother Ansar pointed out to you very clearly what an enemy is. Did he not?
Yes, sir.
And so we know that he's the enemy not by his skin color, but by his thinking. His thinking. And in his thinking, he has denied you, right, of the first 3 points of what the Muslims want.
Yes, he did.
And think about that. That's what everybody wants.
Right.
Every good Christian wants to be
Right.
free.
Every instant.
Every good Christian wants to be
Come on.
justified. Every good Christian wants to be equal. So
Man.
don't make it sound like we're asking for something foreign. We're just asking for that which is natural to us.
Yes.
Am I making sense to
Yes,
you?
sir.
Now, since we can't get that under the law, look. Point number 4. Now, Tim Russert tried to jam the minister on Meet the Press. Tried to jam. And he put this point up. I'm going to read the point. Now, the point says, we want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own.
Right.
That's what we want, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land, and that the area must be fertile and minerally rich. We don't want a tot lot.
Come on.
Right, you understand what I'm saying? We don't want, we want some earth that we can grow something on, build something on. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply what? Our needs.
Right.
In this separate state or territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. Now let's stop at 20 to 25. How long? The Quran was revealed over a what? 23-year period. Is that right?
Right.
So Prophet Muhammad worked with the Arabs for 23 years. And they were the most ignorant people on the planet at that particular time. And he rose them to power based on this book. How long did it take for Moses to stand up, the Caucasian,
Come on.
in the hills and the cave sides of Europe? It was somewhere between 20
25.
to 25 years. Is that right? That's what it was. See, so the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is saying, look, if you supply us not what we want, because see, if you get everything that you need, you will always be able to get everything that you want.
Right.
But your ability to get everything that you want is based on you having everything that you need.
That's
Come on.
right.
Wow.
You got to have everything that you need to be able to get everything that you want.
Say
Right.
that.
And you lack knowledge, you lack wisdom, you lack understanding, those very things that you need. So you have a hard time in America getting what it is you want because they never gave you everything that you needed.
Right.
In the book, when the Israelites were enslaved to the Egyptians, they said, well, now, since you are acting up, I'm going to make you make bricks without straw.
Wow.
Now, when you watch the movie, the Ten Commandments, you see them, they're in the mud, they're mixing the straw, then you make blocks with it, then I guess they bake it to make it hard, then you got a brick. He's telling them, you got to make the bricks without straw. But what does that symbolize? See, look, the white man he tells you that he's giving you the basis to build a life for yourself. So as the straw was an essential ingredient to making the brick, am I making sense?
Yes.
See, he denied you of the knowledge that you need to build a society for yourself. You can't build anything for yourself because you don't have the essential ingredients. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now look. So now they're not giving us what we need.
Come on.
What we need. Then the point goes on that since we cannot get along with them in peace and equality, after giving them 400 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return, pardon me, brothers and sisters, I'm sorry, some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced, we believe our contributions to the land and the suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for complete separation in a state or a territory of our own.
Wow.
That's the argument. Our people need to be put in a separate state or territory of their own. You need to be separated. I need to be separated. Okay? Moses was able to do what he did with the Caucasian. He didn't have no interference. They were in a separate place. And nobody to interfere. You understand? See, white folks is always interfering. Whenever God sends you somebody to go for you, the white man is interfering.
That's right.
With that process.
Say that.
Like he killed Malcolm.
Right.
The Nation of Islam didn't kill Malcolm.
Right.
He did it.
Come on.
Right? Even if he did it at the hands, if he did it at our hands, he did it at the hands of an ignorant brother or an ignorant sister. He murdered Dr. King.
Right.
He ran interference. He tried to run interference on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Is that right? He's interfering. But if you really want to have success with the people, you have to put them in a separate place or in a separate environment. When you watch that movie The Miracle Worker with Patty Duke, the little white girl who was in your condition, she was born deaf, she was born dumb, and she was born blind. And she got to the point to where she just started walking around the house, doing all this kind of stuff. It got to the point to where they couldn't even do anything with her.
Right.
So whenever it was time to do something, they would just move out of the way.
Right.
Kind of sound like Gus, doesn't it?
Yes,
right? We don't know what to do about black people, so just let them go. And let them do whatever they want to do, and let them act any way they want to act.
Right.
But God sent that little girl a messenger. God sent that little girl a messenger. And when she went into that household and she saw what was going on in that house, she said, look, I'm trying to help them, and you, her parents, you keep interfering.
Right.
Okay? Then she said, oh, you got a little house back here in the back. She said, come with me, little Patty, or whatever her name was. And she took her out there. Now, Patty don't know that she's been moved to a separate state of territory.
Right. Right. That's right.
She thinks she's still in the house. Where she's going to continue to get away with what she used to get away with.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so she swung on her teacher. Pow! And the teacher hit her back.
Sure did.
Pow!
Sure did.
I'm telling you, just like that.
Right.
Great movie.
Okay, now what? Now she's looking for help. And she ain't got no help.
Right.
She ain't got no help.
Right.
And then she began to work with her. Then she began to teach her. Then she began to work with her senses. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you need somebody to work with you.
Yes, sir.
And I need somebody to work with me. I need somebody to help me to see. I need somebody to help me to hear. Because I'm deaf, I'm dumb, and I'm blind.
Right.
And I'm in an environment where people are interfering, man, with my natural growth and my natural development. So like that little girl was put in a separate place, you likewise need to be put in a separate place.
That's right.
It's just that simple.
That's simple.
You ain't going to be what God wants you to be as long as you're living with white folks.
That's right.
It ain't going to happen.
No, sir.
It's not until you take control and say, oh, the children ain't acting right in school? Okay, come here. And you put them in an environment like this. Now, I can tell you, these little children that go to daycare here during the day, they don't act up. They may act up in school, but they don't act up in here.
Till they say it, mama.
They don't act up in here. And I heard them say, do you act like that in school? Do you act like that here? She says to them. They don't act up in school. But it's a different place. They're in a different spot.
Right.
Am I making sense to you?
Yes, sir.
See, so don't look at separation as something bad. The book here says that you're going to be separated. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is saying, look, man, if you can't give us freedom, justice, and equality, then let us go for ourselves. Does that make sense to you? Now look, when you go over to the book of Deuteronomy in the 18th chapter, Now remember, the book is talking about who? The book is talking about you. Otherwise, why even bother with it if it's not talking about you? In the 18th chapter, 18 and 18, where it says, I'm going to raise them up, talking about you, a prophet from among their brethren, and I'm going to put my words in his mouth. Now, you're in a similar condition. Your condition is similar to those who were enslaved in Egypt. Am I making sense to you? That means that you should be expecting somebody. Now, I came up in the church, but I was never taught that I should expect somebody. I was just taught there was this white man that lived 2,000 years ago, and his name was Jesus. And he flew away, and he's up in the clouds.
Come on.
One day, if I'm good, which means if you take all the hell, sisters, that I'm putting on you well,
Well.
you got to take it well.
Man.
You got to take it, and you got to take it with the right attitude.
Come on.
After you die, one day, you're going to hear a trumpet. And that trumpet
Come on.
is going to raise you up. And then you're going to fly away and be in the sky.
Wow.
See? That makes the black man kind of docile, doesn't it?
Right.
Kind of robs you of your power.
Man.
You know, brother, just hold on. It's going to happen for us. You know, we just got to hold on. After you die, after you go down in the grave and rot.
No get back.
None.
Right.
No takesy backsies.
No takesy backsies. Not in that religion. But see, in this religion right here, right, it says that not only is prayer
Come on.
and fasting
Come
a
on.
prescription, it says retaliation is a prescription. So when you hit me, I got to hit you back.
Come
That's
on.
right. That's right.
That's the prescription.
Yes, sir.
Some of y'all like to fight.
Man.
You wake up there. You don't even get out of bed real good. You're already ready to knock somebody out. Right? Okay? So you got to have a balanced religion. You got to be a lover and a fighter, a healer and a killer. You got to be all of that, sister. Right? You got to be a saint and a scholar. That's what Jesus was. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is. Not was,
Right.
but is.
Right.
And that's what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is. You got a balanced religion. So they give you this kind of religion that just tells you just to take it, and you keep taking it. Well, after a while, it gets to the point to where you ain't going to want to take it no more.
Right.
And that's where we are right now.
Yes, sir.
So God says, look, I will raise up for them a prophet like unto you. Some scripture says, like unto you Moses. From among their brethren. Meaning God is going to raise a messenger from among us. Your brethren.
Right.
Your brethren. Not the white man's brethren.
Say that.
Your brethren. Your people. Okay? And I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him.
Right.
That's Islam. That's righteousness.
Yes, sir.
This man that God is going to raise is going to do and say everything that he tells him to do and everything that he tells him to say.
Come on.
Is that clear to you?
Yes, sir.
That's who you are by nature.
Come on.
You come from your mother's womb,
Come on.
a Muslim.
Right.
Islam is not, Islam is not really a religion.
Man, it's not.
It's not.
No, sir.
It is your natural way of life, but it is given to you as a religion.
Right.
Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that was the terms that the world dealt with. Look, you are not a Christian by nature.
No, sir.
Not by nature.
No, sir.
You're not that.
Come on.
You are not a Jew by nature.
Right.
Only if you understand it in the proper context.
Mhm.
But what they're making out of you in Judaism and in Christianity, that's not your nature.
No, sir.
If you were acting in accord with your nature,
Mhm.
you'd be running the world right now.
That's right.
You'd be in charge. You would control your
Yeah.
community if you were acting in accord with your nature. You would educate your own children. We are the only male species of all of, look at this. We are the only male, this black man right
Come
here
on.
is the only male species
That
in
alive.
nature
Come on.
that takes his male children
Mm.
and turn them over to another male to teach them.
Wow. Think on that.
Lions don't do that.
Hmm.
Tigers don't do. They all cats, right?
No.
They all cats.
Yeah.
They all phenoms.
Come on.
Leopards, panthers,
Mm.
lions,
Mm.
and tigers.
Right.
They're all the same family.
Yes, sir.
But the leopard does not turn his male child over to the cheetah
Come on.
Right,
to teach her what it is to be a
Come
leopard.
on.
right.
Am I making sense to
Yes.
you? We're the only ones that do that. That turn our children over to somebody else.
Mm.
And you wonder why we in the shape that
Why?
we in.
Why?
So God's going to raise a messenger for you and me
Yes, sir.
to tell us what he needs for us to know. Now, when you go to the book of Malachi, which means my what? Messenger.
Mm.
Y'all all right?
Yes, sir. Get better, sir.
All praise is due to Allah. That's, well, now where's Malachi? I can't find it. Where's Malachi? It's in this somewhere, right? Round about the 4th chapter. And see, brothers and sisters, I tell you, this is why we gotta read for ourselves.
Come on.
You can't have Rem read for you. Say
No,
Rem
sir.
chicken foot, Rem pork chop, Rem
Man.
hoop holler.
Mm-mm-mm.
No disrespect.
Right.
But our people don't need to be entertained.
Man. Say that.
We need to be, Minister Farrakhan is teaching us.
Yes, he is.
Is he not?
Yes, he is.
And then after he teaches us, he makes us responsible to go back and to read and to
Right.
study
Mhm.
what he taught us. We can't leave that to anybody else.
Mm.
And it says here, now again, behold, I will send you Elijah, what? The prophet. Before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Now, it's great for some,
Dreadful for others.
but it's dreadful for others. You see these airplanes falling out the sky?
Come on.
You see this weather increasing?
Come on.
You see the rain increasing?
Man. Come on.
Right?
Yes.
It's a dreadful day.
Come on. Man.
And it's going to get worse.
Yes, it is.
And it's going to get worse. The great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he will turn the hearts, right,
Come on.
of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to the father, because coming out of slavery, they separated us.
Yes, they do.
Did they not?
Yes, they did.
They separated us. So they should come on the plantation and see you with your babies,
Right.
and take your daughter and then sell it to somebody else.
Come on.
Is that right? In one direction, and take your son and sell, same thing with you, and sell it in another direction.
Yes, sir.
So you all grow up as a family, not knowing where your children are.
Right.
Isn't that something?
something.
You don't even know who you crossing with or what's going on. Look, excuse me, my sister, my biological sister, her and I, we have different fathers. Okay? Now, check this out. The man, her father went and naturally met another man. And he had another daughter.
They had a woman.
No, he had another daughter with another woman. Okay, I didn't say it right. Okay, well, correct me then. Right? The man went and got another woman. And with that woman, he had another child who was a girl. They don't know each other. They finally meet in high school. Now imagine.
Man. Imagine.
Imagine your daughter,
Man.
right, meeting your son, and then they get married,
It happened.
not knowing their roots.
Say that.
Not knowing their roots.
Wow.
They didn't know their roots. I don't even know. I forgot the story of how they even got to be friends. But they start comparing notes, and they say, well, "Your father, that's my father." Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand the damage that's been done to us by breaking up our families like that? So this man Elijah who comes, he comes to what? Repair our families. You can't build anything if you don't have a strong family. You can't build wealth if you don't have a strong family. That's how real wealth is built. It's through the families, right? These DuPonts and these other devils that rule the world. They rule by families, and the families interact with one another. Am I making sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's this movie, man. This one white dude got this girl pregnant. They went and found out who he was, and they said, you got to marry her. To keep the wealth where? In the family. You understand? White folks don't play that. Then we was watching a TV show called Law and Order, and this man was trying to pass himself off as being something that he wasn't, trying to marry into a family because wealth marries wealth. Am I making sense to you?
Yeah.
And they found out what he was trying to do, and they killed the man. Families.
Wow.
They killed him. He lying. He's not from the Bridgestones. He's from the trailer. He's from the trailer park.
Wow.
And they killed him. In the Nation of Islam, we are taught to do that. The FOI should marry what? The MGT.
Yes, sir.
That's Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Turning us back
To ourselves.
to ourselves. Isn't it beautiful?
Yes, sir.
Turn us back to ourselves. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So in closing, we are happy today.
Yes, we are.
We are happy to know that God thought enough of us,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
To give us, make sure I covered all my notes, to give us somebody from himself. Not just anybody,
Himself.
but a man that was taught directly from the mouth of God.
Right. Wow.
Now, what you think is going to happen when black people come to know and understand it? Oh, it's going to be a wonderful day. You mean we ain't got to depend on white folks no more? We ain't got to listen to them no more? When I was in the military, when they was starting the Iraq War, Minister Farrakhan said, "Oh, brother, you don't have to. You don't have to go to war with them people."
Right.
He said, "Just give them point number 10 from what the Muslims believe." He said, "We believe that we who declare ourselves to be righteous Muslims should not participate in wars which take the lives of humans." Now, I'm in the military. I'm in the thing. He said, "But you still ain't got to go." He said, "We do not believe this nation should force us to take part in such wars, for we have nothing to gain from it unless
Come on.
America agrees to give us the necessary territory wherein we may have something to fight for." Now, there was a whole lot of brothers in the military that didn't listen to that.
Right.
So they went and they were writing the minister letters about what was going on in the desert. And they was giving them medication. And one of the brothers wrote back to the minister and said, "Man, they out here, they giving us straight cocaine in the desert to get us to fight." You see, we are at the end of the white man's time to rule us. We understand what we're
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Now, as long as you don't know what time it is, you keep submitting to that rule.
Come on.
When God kills him, he's going to kill you too. Am I making sense
Yes,
to
sir.
all of you?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, this is a great and it's a dreadful day, right? It's a great day for some, and it's a dreadful day for others. It just all depends on which side do we want to come down on. I want to be on God's side, right? We used to sing a song in church as I bring Brother Ansar back to the roster. You better come on the Lord's side. It's gonna rain.
Wow.
Rain, rain. You better come on the Lord's side, right? It's going to rain. Brothers and sisters, we have nothing to look forward to from this people. We have to now come back to the God that raised a messenger for you and I. So I thank you all for your time and for your
Thank you,
attention.
sir.
And I hope that I have said something
Yes,
along
sir.
the line that has made some
Yes, sir.
sense to somebody. So let us receive our dear brother back to the roster, my dear brother, Brother Ansari Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Shalom.
Thank you. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you, sir.
Let's give our brother Hassan. Excuse me. Let's give brother Hassan a beautiful hand.